Start recording.
Okay.
Recording has been started. Thank you, Swasti.
Thank you.
Then I should just.
All right. So sorry for the delay. We are here together to talk about Aptitude Eyes, which is a technology we're using for doing our visual validation testing here. So let's start. What is visual testing? Visual testing is an activity to verify that the GUI, which is graphical user interface, appears correctly to the user in multiple browsers and platforms and all. Can you automate 100% of tests? So this is the question which is generally asked with software test engineers in interview, that do you think can you automate 100% of the test? And I myself used to give the answer saying, no, we cannot, because there has to be some manual validation in place which needs to be done with respect to especially visual testing and the display and the layout, because usually we use, and most of the people use Selenium as an automation framework. And what Selenium does is it identifies the objects with the element IDs. And so the visual layout is not verified because it still finds the ID of the test passes. So even though the functional part passes, the visually can be overlapping text or it can be really bad visual for the user. So you cannot do 100% automation at that point in time, but apparently you can now. There are technologies out there where you can actually automate visual testing. What are the types of visual bugs? So don't laugh and okay, so I picked the images so that it's a little bit of fun for you guys and it's not all text. So enjoy that. But visual bugs are basically kind of bugs which are overlapping text or layout issues in different browsers. Font size changed, which there's more space in between fields on the web page. All of this you cannot automate with Selenium, which is usually our selection of tool. Some examples of visual bugs. For example, you see a UPS app here, and it's on the portrait view of the iPad 3, and you see how it's all bad display. The other example you see is for this newspaper site, and it has the overlapping text here. All of this could not have been caught. Example of visual bugs on 10x.com. This is one of the actual bugs we caught. Which is overlapping this video view with the image, with the photo gallery here. Example of visual bug on auction.com. And this is also one of, and I pulled this data off our Jira. So these are valid bugs which are out there on our site. You see these drop downs overlapping each other, which is a bad visual for the users. Okay, question. Guess how many bugs were caught or reported in the last year alone for visual issues?
In the United States or just?
No, in our company.
Worldwide?
Okay, I sent you the slides for review and you didn't comment back there. Yeah, so how many bugs were reported since past 1 year on our site? And things we reported, and customers reported, apps support reported.
2.
Okay, yes. 15.
50.
Okay, and any other guess from there? Aman, you are not allowed to respond.
I can.
You can.
If you're muted, you pull up a number of fingers, you think.
Any guess?
50.
500.
That was 900.
I heard 50 and 500.
Okay.
How many QA people do you think we have?
Do we get extra mile points?
All right.
55.
300. And it's pretty surprising when I was. It is pretty surprising when I was gathering the data. So what I did, I went to Jira. I pulled out production bugs, sprint bugs, sub bugs, and I used the keywords, which not displayed properly, overlapping, alignment issues, and looks weird. All of these are the number of bugs, and there could be many more, which I was I didn't think about more keywords, but I'm pretty sure there would be more of those. So there were actually 300 bugs, which we found in 1 year without any automation tool. Why should visual testing be automated? Test matrix is too big to test manually. We have lots of web browsers, operating systems, screen resolutions, responsive designs, and IoT9, which we don't have here. But there are lots of, the test matrix is really huge to be able to test everything manually. Also, our release cycles keep going shorter. It helps with a faster feedback loop. Manual testing is error prone, and visual testing can also catch functional bugs as well, not just the layout issues, but functional. For example, a link is missing or something like that. Right, so that's fine. Now, this is a workflow of Applitool, how Applitool does it. So we drive our automation, we take the screenshot, then we have a baseline, we compare the screenshot with the baseline image, and we report the differences. And then, depending on whether it's a real issue or not, we update the baseline or not. This is a very simple workflow of that.
Where do the baseline images come from? You take it before?
Yeah, so when you actually use Applitools, the first time it runs the test, the images that come in, we take the screenshot, they are considered the baselines. And going forward, you can say, make my current image as a baseline now, because the product has changed and now this is what the real customers are going to see. So you can do that.
So Steve, what does AUT stand for?
That's the automation test, the UI test, automation UI test.
It's our stuff, not that. That doesn't mean that.
That's it, no.
Application under test.
And value of Applitool ICE. So this is what Applitool does. It validates the content, data, layout, and appearance of all the UI elements with a single command. Any questions, John?
No, I won't always have questions. Thank you, though.
Here your output data always. Prepare your data, test data, not the visual data, but the input data.
Yes, yes. You need to have something which can be constant, which you can compare against, right? And I'll tell you why Applitool is better than other softwares out there too. It validates the visual aspects of your application or website on all the platforms. It covers functional testing of the data that is visible through the UI. So the thing with Applitool is that you can actually, there's so much dynamic content on our site, which you can ignore in Applitools. You can say, okay, in my web page, this is the portion where the ad appears, and the ad constantly changes, or the news constantly changes, then again, just ignore that region in Applitools and say validate the rest of the layout, or validate the rest of the content. You can have tests automated, which, for example, terms of service, privacy policy, all these pages are not automated right now. But you can take a screenshot of that content and you can just compare it every release that goes out. So if there's something that gets changed, you will get updated and you'll figure out the terms of use is not working. And all of these are legal issues which could be caught with visual testing. Unique features of Applitool ICE. It's a single page validation, replaces hundreds of lines of validation code and hours of manual testing. So in Selenium, if for example, there's a form page, in Selenium, if I have to validate all the different elements in the form, first name, last name, contact number, and all of that, I could just do it with the one click in Applitools. I could say, take the screenshot of the default form, and then take the screenshot later on and compare them. If there's any field which is overlapping, missing out, or not having the same default text in it, that will be caught. So I don't have to have each and every element ID identified, and I save a lot of lines of code with Applitool. Cognitive vision, it ignores the differences that are invisible to human eye and avoid false positives. Like I said, we can have so one of the things which we did in ApplyTools is, and the functionality is really helpful, is, for example, in auction.com, we have a chat window, live chat window, that goes up and down. So with the previous automation, it would fail because your test was expecting the window to be here, and now the window has moved up. So how do you do that? So you can actually, in ApplyTools, you can select that portion that if this content moves up and down within this region, we are good. So you can do those kind of adjustments to this. Easily test complex applications using dynamic content, size, and moving elements. Okay, here is how it looks a little bit, and I'll show you the demo also. But these are the different modes it has. Exact, strict, content, layout, and none. So exact will do pixel level mapping, which most of the tools out in the market do. And that's why when previously we tried implementing it in my previous companies also, but it failed really bad because every time the pixel changed, it used to just fail the test. So it had lots of false positives. So the strict view is what we use in most of the time. It shows only the significant changes, both at the layout and the content level, using image analysis techniques to ignore minor changes that are not significant for the user. This is what we use in our code most of the time. Content only identifies differences that relate to the content. For example, text of an article. It ignores the layout differences, and layout only identifies the layout while ignoring the content. So you have these different modes which you can put based on your test which you're trying to do. If you're trying to validate just the content, then just use the content and ignore the rest. We are coming up with a Nightwatch framework for everyone to use, and this has been integrated with Nightwatch right now. And you will hear more about this in our Nightwatch training and sessions as well. But just to give you a quick glance of how it is implemented there, we have a common helper called visual validation function. It has a visual validation function which calls ApplyTool APIs. And there are three main APIs for ApplyTools: eyes open, eyes check image, and eyes close. So we call these three, and so check image is the one which actually compares the image, and eyes close is the one which closes the session. So our typical test, how a typical test of UI comparison would look like is very simple. You just, so with this one, visual validation is actually just expecting a URL right now, right? But there might be a point later in the time where you're doing functional testing, and then in the middle of that, you want to capture the screenshot. So we'll have a helper for that too. But right now, what this helper does is, you provide it a URL, it'll go to the URL, take the screenshot, and compare it with baseline. So, for example, in the guest sign-up test, you're giving it a URL, go to the sign-up page, and it's actually calling visual validation helper, browser, URL, and your test is done. So every time, it's very easy to write these tests down too. It's just 3 lines, 4 lines. Any question here?
Yeah, where are the baseline images stored and how do you reference those?
It's on the ApplyTools site.
They're on the site itself?
On the ApplyTools, yeah. So we have the cloud.
So this is a SaaS
Yes.
model.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Environments we run our tests on. Currently, our tests are running on Sauce Lab, so it's integrated with Sauce Lab. Our Nightwatch framework is integrated with Sauce Lab, so we have the ApplyTool code in our code. We call the APIs in our code, and then we run these tests on Sauce Lab, which has multiple devices. So currently, we are running our tests on Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer, 10 and 11, Safari, and iOS device and Android device. This is what we have currently. All right, product demo.
Sure.
So it's not much, but I'll show you. This is how the actual Apple tool dashboard looks like, right? So this will tell you how many tests passed, how many tests failed, how many environments we're running the tests on, and here you can see the platforms we are running it on and the browsers we are running it on. So we're running on IE 11, 10, Safari, Chrome, Firefox, Samsung Galaxy, and iPhone 6, right? So if you want to see how it looks, when you click on it, this is what it shows us, right? Now, this is my baseline image, and this is the current image, which we got from the test environment. So right now, there are no differences here. And the area which you see in blue is the area we have ignored, because when you actually go here, so if you see these cities, they kept on changing, so we just ignored them, right? So here you can change the mode. So by default in our code, we are just passing strict mode most of the time. And here, if you want to see how does it look in the exact mode, how does it look in strict mode, content, layout, then you can do that manually here and see. Here, this is how you ignore the region. You select this and you ignore that particular region. This one is maximize, minimize, and here you see the differences because right now it's on, but there's no difference in the image. The test passed. That's why it's not showing anything. This portion right here is to highlight the differences. If there is a failed test, it's just going. If you click on this, it will just highlight that portion. And this is where the problem is. It'll only show the baseline image. This will show current image, and most of the time what you need is show both baseline and current. Now suppose if you are saying, okay, now there's a failure and it's a valid failure, like the product is changing, right? The page is changing. So we want to accept a new baseline that make my current screen my baseline going forward. So all I need to do is go here and say accept. Or just go here and say reject. And just keep it as is, the old baseline. And you save the changes, and that's all there is to it, right? Now, I will also show you,
Did you have to initially take all the screenshots and add them
Yes.
to the baseline?
that's how you do, yeah.
Once you run the test, by default, it will take the if the images are not there, then it will take the baseline image.
Yeah.
Make it also the baseline.
So example of changes we got within 15 minutes of depth checking in the code. Now this was really highly powerful, and that's why I say it's very powerful is we were sitting right here in the conference room and Akshay changed something on auction.com. And there was no ticket for it. Unfortunately, there was no ticket for it, and QA didn't know that something was going to change, and a test started failing. Like, what's going on? So apparently on Safari, they decided the live chat button needs to be taken out. Product told it to the dev took it out, QA was not aware at that point of time. So, and then we reached out to like, what happened here? And we saw that the test started failing. In the baseline, there was a chat with us button here. In the current image, it was gone. So it was highlighting that. The other example was that the product decided to take out the financing option link from the footer. We would have never caught it initially, but this one caught it.
Is this a case of a bug or just nobody telling QA? Which is.
So we have a lot of bugs also, but these were the cases where they didn't tell QA. We have a lot of bugs, we have caught a lot of bugs too. But this was a matter of fact that, okay, once it was done, then the QA was informed. But we already caught it before it. So that's why I'm saying this is so powerful. This is faster than people telling us that this is going to change.
We are watching you.
So what has been automated as of now We have all three lines of businesses: auctions, CRE, and homes. All the main pages of these three sites with logged in and non-logged in users have been automated already. And to actually find out what actually got automated, you can go to this wiki link. Did you like the image here?
That's the old homes application.
Here are the documentation tips for you guys to go. This is the main wiki. It tells you exactly what Applitool does and much more in detail than the demo stuff too. And these are the pages we have covered so far. Questions?
Question about the tool. So does everyone have to create an account, or we're just using one account and everything?
Okay, so we initially started as a proof of concept for this. So I had a pro account which we were using. Then last week itself, we got an enterprise account for which we can have up to 5 users. And what we're planning to do is have homes, CRE, these guys give the lead to them, and they can share the account information
With all
with everyone. So right now we're using just my credentials to log in and see the report. There's no limit.
How easy to say if I have a baseline screenshot of 5 steps it takes to go to the baseline screen or screen.
Yeah.
So should I record and play back, or should
No.
I get forward to that?
When you actually run the test, it will just capture this video.
Once you show it back,
So-
yeah, it goes in the code, then automatically it will start working.
So you see this screen, you see this screen here. So when you first run your test, you only have this. You don't have to choose 2 things, right? And then you accept the baseline, so that will be your baseline going out.
Can you show a failure test too as well, Swati? I think it will give a better idea. Failed test.
Yeah, there is a build right left-hand side system.
Those are failed.
I forgot.
But these test cases you guys have created in that?
These ones,
You have created all these test
Yeah.
cases?
yeah, they're running.
It's running on production level.
16. Can you talk about that?
Okay. Recently, we have got an API issue, like where I'm reading into which, like, which seeing more fields got changed. So I have sent an email to the team, and they said it's involved on the API side, so they fixed it and started passing.
This one.
You can show.
You can see this one. Even in the baseline, what happened was the baseline was not. Do you see this one? This has a register button. This is running on iPhone 6, and you see all the things here. Here it's missing. So from the look of it, looks like the first time I took the baseline, something was wrong in the baseline itself. It should be the other way around. Like this should be the baseline. So in this case, we would accept this as the baseline. The current one as the baseline going forward.
Is that possible to set the test type through the Nightwatch code, or is that possible to set it only through the app?
No, it's through the Nightwatch code.
Okay, as far as I understood, the Applitool has to be hosted on all the QA environments, right?
No.
No, it is not required. It is like a SaaS service. You can use it just to say that you configure with an account details and just add
They have
it.
APIs, so you can integrate it with other frameworks.
Okay, so all the environments are capable of doing this.
Yes.
That's right.
How,
And we also have, I've not tried that out, we also have a manual version to it. So designers can actually use that manual version.
the base image has to be created through the app?
From the app, meaning?
Yeah, Applitool.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can you talk a bit about frequency too? How often we're running this and all that as well, please?
Right now, we are running it on a daily basis on all these environments. We are currently facing some problems with Sauce Lab, so our tests are not running right now, like as in like 2 days. So we're thinking about we're trying to figure out what's going on there. It's a software which is not Nightwatch or Aptitude issue.
So we have, you're running some Jenkins system that's running the software, running the tests. That opens a tunnel to Sauce Labs. So the Sauce Labs virtual machine can look at the local host. What's taking the screenshot?
So,
Sauce Labs?
Sauce Lab? Okay,
So, like this API calls which Swasti showed, right? ISOP and ISOP.
That's running on the
local
Docker.
So actually, Sauce Lab is just a so it is just going to give us one VM to run, and the local host is going to send commands to Sauce Labs one by one, and that's where it gets executed. So whenever the API call like ice.open is the one which initializes the application.
So that where's the ApplyTools running? Is that running on the, and then on the Sauce Labs VM? Do you have to go to Sauce Labs and add ApplyTools as an integration?
It is part of our existing framework, right? And what happens when you run the test, and the Sauce Lab is also integrated with the ApplyTools, so it understands these comments, everything. So it takes in the environment when you are running it.
Code.
The only.
But the browser is in Sauce Labs inside the
All
VM.
Sauce Lab is doing is just running it. It's not doing any comparison. It doesn't do anything. It just does, this is your run. And then all the comparison and everything happens.
That's
Everything was in Sauce Lab.
Yes. We're just running it there. We just want devices there.
And I think she said localhost sends the command to Sauce Lab to run.
and
It sends
right.
the instructions like one by one command to the Sauce Lab so that it gets executed there. So whenever a check image is sent, so it will take the screenshot. So before that, check image is compact the images. So before that, we are taking the screenshot in the Sauce Labs.
Who is taking the image?
The code is taking the screenshot.
The screenshot must be happening
Before
at Sauce Labs.
Yes.
Something is taking a screenshot and then probably sending it directly to us, and then
And then Aptitude
And then-
API is what's comparing it.
I see. Got it.
What is the minimum quality resolution?
Sorry, your voice is not clear. Can you repeat it again?
What is the minimum resolution we can have the baseline there?
So, the thing with Aptitude which we saw was the machine which is taking the screenshot and the machine where the test is running, the resolutions need to match. So right now that's one of the hiccups we had while running it on Sauce Lab, because when Katna was trying to do it on her machine, the resolution of those screenshots were different than Sauce Lab machine. She had to configure her machine to that.
Exactly.
But there's nothing like we can only run this resolution or that resolution. It can handle both as long as both baseline and what you're comparing against is in the same resolution.
So that also depends on the QA environment resolution, right? Because we take the screenshot there.
It's not QA environment resolution, it is the machine, the system resolution.
It's depends
that's
on
what I'm
how you are running it, right? If you are always running on the source, then we'll never have these issues. If we are switching those environment, we may potentially have this.
You have to take a different baseline. So the maintenance of tests is really simple, right? You just see the two screens and just say thumbs up or thumbs down.
So you're saying if Kalpana is running the tests, her configuration should be the same? And which system?
So Sauce has VMs, right? That resolution is already documented in the Sauce Labs. So whatever resolution we want, we pick it from there and add it to our code. So let's say if I want to run it against Windows machine, I'll check what are the resolution available for on Sauce Lab. And then yes. They have various.
So do you normally run your tests against like giant monitor, like a retina screen or small screen? Do you run your tests against various screen sizes?
We don't run it on various screen sizes. We run it on iPhone and Android and some particular resolutions, right? We don't shorten the screen size and run it there. But because we're doing mobile web, so we just make sure that on iPhone and Android it looks good. That's all we care about, because most of our site is not like, it changes day, right? I mean, on iPhone and Android, as long as it looks good, the mobile web is good for us.
That's
Are you testing on iPad?
Right now, we're not. Right now, we're not. But it's, yeah, it's just adding that. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. If the baseline images are those images will be taken by the QAs, right? Or it will be a tool from SoftLab that takes screenshots of the baseline.
So taking screenshot is also in our code. So anyone who is writing the test, that as long as the first time the test runs, will take your baseline. That will be your baseline the first time when you're running the test. And that's all in the code. You don't have to take your baseline image manually.
Okay.
It does not happen every time. You don't have to do that. Does it answer the question?
Yes, it's something like that, because if we take the screenshot, we will have like I don't know, like a string of that screenshot. It will be good, because in the next sprint you will see changes on the front end. That's my doubt, because if you take the screenshot only for one sprint, the next sprint it will be fail the test, right?
Yeah, so that's why when I was talking about different kind of modes, when
Okay.
you're comparing the screenshots together, the baseline with the current one, that is the time when you can select the mode. Maybe for your case, you want a pixel-to-pixel mapping. Maybe for your case, you only care about the content. Maybe for your case, you only care about the layout. And what we generally care about most of the time is the strict mode, which will take into consideration some of the layout. It's more like how a human eye is perceiving the screenshots. When you are looking into something, you're seeing something missed. That's how the strict mode works, basically, with the image recognition technology which these guys have.
Okay, good.
So what happens if you have, sorry.
No, go ahead. It's okay.
If you have moving elements on the page, such as like embedded videos or objects or like slideshows or something like that, you can exclude them, just as you said.
Yeah, so if it's moving object, if it's a video, if you think it'll just, with the first pass, it'll just take the screenshot and it'll look the same, then you can just take the screenshot. But if it's changing, the screen image is changing all the time, I would suggest it to just ignore that particular video region from your.
Thanks.
Is this something that developers can leverage, or?
Of course.
Yes?
Yeah.
And run it locally?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
As long as we don't.
Limitations on our account, like the number of screenshots we can have, or the number of simultaneous browsers we can test, or anything like that?
So with the pro account which we were running, we had the limit of 1,000 validations per week. So you can have 1,000 screenshot validations per week, and we were already crossing that. So that's why I moved over to enterprise, where they're giving us 5 accounts, and they say 5,000 validations per week. So right now, with our run rate, we think we are somewhere, we will be around 2,500 to 3,000 screenshot validations. So
including residential homes.
Everything. Yeah. But the more functional tests we add, the more visual validations we'll add, we will have to see how much we want to implement. We may need to purchase additional account value. We'll see, but for now, enterprise should be good enough.
Okay.
How long it takes to do the validation?
It's pretty quick.
Pretty quick? 1 second.
Very quick.
So this is primarily used for regression, not functional testing. So if I'm doing a testing where I don't know the screen, though the product is already developed, for my testing, my target screen will be coming after I do some steps, right? So
Okay.
how is it very convenient to do functional testing with
Okay, as per the Appli tools, the best way to have the image comparison before action and after action. That means like, okay, when you are in the in that page, how it looks. You would perform action and how it looks. So before and after, that's what the Appli tool suggests to have the validation, image validation.
But I think what your question is more about when you're doing the functional testing, how can you leverage Appli tools? So right now, what we're doing is, how we're doing it, we're going to the main pages, taking a screenshot, making sure everything's fine. But later on, let's see so much of use we can do with the functional part of it. Because for example, in our bidder registration change, right? The whole layout of the page change, the actions change. We can just go to the bidder registration, take the screenshot, compare it. So at that point of time, we'll have to do the Selenium flow with the Nightwatch and add that. We call this visual validation helper method, which is doing all the comparison, taking screenshots, and closing the session, and then proceed. So all you have to do in your test, go to that part, call this helper, and then.
Does it mean I don't have to write much code to visually validate it?
No.
Then leverage this visual validation.
Yeah.
Just leverage Nightwatch
Exactly.
to navigate to the steps.
Exactly.
That's the only is to like you don't have to like answer validation.
And even test case time gets reduced, right? For example, we were saying like at the home page, your home page test cases, the number of test cases you write, make sure these links works, this is there, privacy policies, the terms of use is there, headers are there. You just go to the page, take the screenshot, create one test case saying, I want to validate all the headers on the page. And that's what we have done actually on 10x React homepage. To make sure all the headers are there, make sure all the footers are there. You just have 3 test cases, you take the visual comparison and do it. The functional part will not be done with it. We still have to write Selenium code to make sure these header links and footer links are going to the pages. Yeah.
Navigation. Provided, this is provided that test data I use is very accurate.
Yes.
Relying on test data.
Yes.
So, for example, if I write a sorting algorithm is there and I add some 10 cities which should be sorted in a manner, I don't have to write a script to validate that.
Yes.
Rather, I just use
Yeah. So it's upon you on how you leverage this tool and how many steps you can reduce to that. And the biggest thing with this is right now, all our function tests are not running on all the browsers, but this will run on all the different browsers. So you're covering so many test cases and devices. Yeah. Any other questions?
So one last question. We have applications which are not user interaction intense applications, like where the user interaction is most, and there are applications where there is data driven, there is no user interaction much. So that we still will continue to leverage where there is a lot of data, like MLH and backend systems.
Yeah.
So how do you feel you can use it there?
So as I think this is useful more when you are worried about how my layout of the page will look like, or we can also leverage it on drop-down menu. In search and in CAM, there's so many drop-downs, right? You click on the button, there's a lot of drop-downs there. With Selenium, you'll have to manually go one by one. You have to loop through all those elements and verify this is there, this is there, this is there. You click on it, you take a screenshot, compare it, and you're done. It'll tell you the things missing, or even if it's the name mismatched or something like that. It'll do all that information. So going forward, we'll have to figure out what's the best way to actually do functional validation with this. How much function you can do without much risk. Yeah. Any other thing? This is where it started. I wanted to show the status slide.
How much did we pay for this clip art that you used?
You need to start me paying.
Oh, okay.
Password is not available for the page.
My boss is sitting right there. I can stop the recording, please.
Thank you, Swasti.
We will post the recording once we have it on Slack as well as on conference page. If anyone doesn't know, just Google, just search on conference with 10 talks. You will get the page, all the events, and the recordings are there.
And if anyone has an idea for a 10 talk they'd like to give or to see, please let us know. Great, thanks.
Thanks.